All right, let's dive into another deep dive. And today we're tackling one that's a real head-scratcher. The La Aurora Alien Mummy. Picture this. It's 2007. A group of explorers are out in the La Aurora region of Mexico, and bam, they stumble upon a mummy.
But not just any mummy.
Right, definitely not your everyday mummy.
This one has an elongated skull, these huge eye sockets,
Yeah.
and a skeletal structure that's just off.
Yeah, it's like someone took a human skeleton and stretched it out.
Like taffy.
Exactly like taffy. Just looking at the pictures, you can see why this thing went viral. Almost instantly. People were freaking out. I mean, if you're into those ancient astronaut theories, this mummy seems like walking proof. Well, maybe not walking, more like mummified proof.
It's easy to see why people got caught up in the hype, especially with a find this visually striking, but it's important to remember that there are other explanations too.
Oh, absolutely.
Some experts immediately started talking about a hoax, or maybe some kind of naturally occurring genetic condition that we just haven't seen before.
Okay, so we've got this bizarre mummy and everyone's got a theory. Then the scientists step in and start doing some serious analysis. They're examining the skeleton, running DNA tests, the whole 9 yards. And what they find is, well, let's just say it throws a wrench in everyone's assumptions.
Yeah, the DNA analysis was a real bombshell. They found genetic markers that didn't match any known human or primate species.
Wait, are we talking about a totally undiscovered species here? Like something completely separate from anything we know?
It's like this mummy belonged to a branch of the evolutionary tree we've never even encountered before.
That's huge.
It definitely raises more questions than answers. It challenges everything we thought we knew about the history of life on Earth. Could there be entire lineages out there that we haven't even scratched the surface of?
I'm getting chills just thinking about it. So on one hand, you've got the alien enthusiast saying, I told you so. And then you've got the scientists cautiously saying, hold on, we need more data.
Which is the right approach. Science isn't about jumping to conclusions. It's about testing and retesting, comparing and contrasting. We need to look at this DNA alongside other samples, maybe even try to extract more genetic material from the mummy itself. There's a lot more work to be done before we can say for sure what we're dealing with.
You're right. It's like we've stumbled onto a crime scene.
From the distant past.
Exactly. We've got the body, but no witnesses, and the evidence is full of contradictions.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got this incredible discovery, wild theories flying around, and scientists scrambling to make sense of it all. But the story doesn't end with the DNA results. The La Aurora mummy had a ripple effect that went way beyond the lab. It tapped into this whole cultural fascination with ancient aliens and unexplained phenomena.
It's true. For people who already believed in ancient astronauts, this mummy was like the ultimate proof. Suddenly, their wildest theories didn't seem so far-fetched anymore. It was like finding a lost chapter from a history book, and it was a chapter that rewrote everything we thought we knew about our place in the universe.
It's like it validated their worldview, gave them this tangible thing to point to and say, see, we're not crazy. But for the skeptics, it was a whole different story.
For them, it was a case study in why we need to be cautious about jumping to conclusions. It highlighted the importance of critical thinking, of demanding evidence, of not letting our imaginations run away with us. It was a reminder that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence.
Absolutely. But even the skeptics had to admit, this wasn't just some run-of-the-mill mummy. It was a real enigma.
Something that forced everyone to confront the limits of our understanding. And that's what makes this discovery so fascinating, even all these years later. It's a reminder that there are still mysteries out there that can shake our understanding of the world to its core.
And it begs the question, where is this mummy now? After all the tests and analysis, where did it end up?
Well, the La Aurora mummy found a new home on display at a museum in Mexico City.
That makes sense. It's not every day you find something that rewrites the textbook, so it makes sense to put it on display for the world to see.
Right. It's a fascinating exhibit, and it also serves as a reminder of how much we still have to learn about our planet's history and the potential for unexpected discoveries.
Imagine seeing this thing in person. It must be a pretty awe-inspiring experience, and takes it from being a headline or a blurry picture on the internet to a real, tangible piece of, well, whatever it is.
Exactly. It allows people to form their own opinions, to ponder the possibilities, and maybe even to come up with their own theories. It sparks curiosity and keeps the conversation going.
Which is exactly what we're doing here today, right?
Yeah.
Trying to piece together this puzzle, one clue at a time.
Precisely. And while we may never have all the answers, the journey of exploration is what truly matters.
Well said. Now let's dive even deeper into this mystery. We've talked about the initial discovery and the shock waves it sent through the scientific community and the world at large. But what I really want to know is, what are the specifics of those DNA findings? What exactly makes this mummy's genetic makeup so unique?
That's where it gets really interesting. Remember how I mentioned that this mummy's DNA didn't match any known human or primate species? Well, we're not talking about just a few little differences here. The genetic variations are so big that it suggests an entirely separate evolutionary lineage.
Okay, so it's not just like a few mutations. We're talking a fundamental difference in the genetic code itself.
Exactly. Imagine comparing a blueprint for a house to one for a skyscraper. The basic elements might be similar, but the overall structure and function are totally different.
Gotcha. So what are some of the specific genetic anomalies that researchers have found? What makes this DNA so different?
Well, one of the most striking things is the number of chromosomes. Humans typically have 46 chromosomes, but this mummy has, wait for it,
How many?
54.
Whoa, 54.
That's a huge difference.
Yeah, that's like an extra set of instructions in the genetic code. What does that even mean in terms of how this being might have developed or functioned?
That's the million-dollar question. We just don't know yet. It's possible that those extra chromosomes could have been responsible for some of the mummy's unusual physical features, like the elongated skull, the large eye sockets, that unique skeletal structure.
So those extra chromosomes were like a whole package of traits that set this being apart.
Exactly. And that's just one piece of the puzzle. Researchers have also identified unusual variations in genes related to bone development, cranial structure, and even brain size.
It's almost like they're looking at a genetic blueprint that's both familiar and completely alien at the same time.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
So we've got these unprecedented genetic anomalies. What are the scientists saying this could all mean?
Well, some are cautiously suggesting that this mummy could represent a completely unknown branch of the hominid family tree. Imagine a hominid species evolving in isolation, developing its own set of traits, completely separate from the lineage that led to us.
It's like a what-if scenario straight out of a textbook. What if there was another intelligent species that evolved alongside our ancestors? What if they even interacted with early humans?
It's a pretty mind-blowing thought.
Yeah, it's both exciting and a little terrifying.
It definitely makes you rethink that whole idea of humans being at the top of the evolutionary ladder.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've got this mind-blowing DNA evidence, scientists talking about a new hominid species, and the public going crazy with all sorts of alien theories. So what happens next? Where do we go from here?
The next step is to really dig into that genetic data. Scientists need to compare the mummy's DNA to a wider range of samples, including ancient and modern human DNA, and also genetic material from other primate species.
So they're basically trying to map out the mummy's place on the evolutionary tree, even if it means drawing a whole new branch. What else are they looking at?
They're also using advanced imaging techniques to create really detailed 3D models of the mummy's skull and skeleton. These models let them study the unique proportions and anomalies up close, comparing them to known skeletal structures and searching for clues about its origin.
I could see how those 3D models would be super helpful. It's like having a digital blueprint of the entire skeleton.
Exactly. And by combining that genetic data with the 3D modeling, researchers hope to paint a clearer picture of this enigmatic being.
It's like a real-life detective story.
With a prehistoric twist.
Right. Instead of searching for lost artifacts, we're looking for lost chapters in the history of life on Earth.
Yeah.
And maybe even hints of something beyond our planet.
Exactly. And, all this talk about ancient astronauts and alien encounters that this discovery sparked, well, I think we need to address those theories head on.
Yeah, because while scientists are cautiously exploring the possibility of a new hominid species, there are a lot of people out there who are absolutely convinced that this mummy is proof of alien visitation.
And I get it. The mummy's unusual features definitely lend themselves to that kind of thinking. But like we've been saying, it's super important to be skeptical.
Okay, so let's talk about the alien theory. What are the main arguments that people use to support the idea that this mummy is extraterrestrial?
Well, they often point to those same standout features. The elongated skull, the big eye sockets, and the strange skeletal structure. They say these traits are just too different from anything we see in humans, so they must be a result of alien genetics.
So they're saying that these features are just too bizarre to have evolved naturally here on Earth.
Right. They also often bring up the fact that we haven't found a clear evolutionary lineage for the mummy. They argue that if this being was a product of Earth's evolution, we should be able to trace its ancestry back to a known common ancestor.
So it's kind of like if it's not from here, it must be from out there.
Basically. But, just because we haven't found that evolutionary link yet doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Maybe the missing link is out there somewhere, just waiting to be found.
Exactly. And even if this mummy doesn't end up being proof of alien life, it's still an incredible discovery. It's making us question our assumptions and realize how diverse life on Earth can be.
It's a good reminder that the universe is full of mysteries.
And we're only just starting to understand what's out there.
So even if this mummy turns out to be from Earth, it's still a remarkable find.
Absolutely. And who knows, maybe someday we will find proof of extraterrestrial life.
Maybe this mummy will even be part of that story. But until then, we'll keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep our minds open to the wonders of the universe.
I like that. Speaking of keeping our minds open, I think it's important to consider the impact this discovery has had on our collective imagination.
You're right. Even if the scientists are being cautious, the La Aurora mummy has definitely captured people's attention and fueled a ton of speculation.
It's true. This discovery has become like a cultural phenomenon, inspiring documentaries, books, even sci-fi stories and conspiracy theories.
It's like it tapped into this basic human fascination with the unknown.
We love stories about aliens, ancient mysteries, anything that makes us question what we think is real.
It's like this mummy gave us a peek into another world, a world where anything is possible.
And even if it turns out to be a product of Earth's own evolution, it's a reminder that our planet is full of creatures that are just as strange and wonderful as anything we could dream up.
Totally.
But I think it's also important to consider the ethical side of things.
Yeah, that's a good point. We've been so focused on the scientific mystery and all the hype that we haven't really talked about the ethics of it all.
Right. I mean, we're dealing with the remains of a being unlike anything we've ever encountered. It could be a new species, a whole new branch of the evolutionary tree. And I think we need to approach this with a lot of respect.
Absolutely. So what are some of the ethical concerns that are coming up?
Well, for one thing, this being didn't exactly consent to being studied, displayed, and debated. And we have to keep that in mind.
It's tricky, right? This discovery could change everything we know about life on Earth, but we also want to make sure we're not being disrespectful.
Exactly. And it's not just about respecting the remains themselves. We also need to be mindful of the cultural beliefs of the people who live where the mummy was found.
Right, this isn't just some scientific curiosity. It's part of someone's cultural heritage.
Exactly.
So how do we find that balance? How do we keep learning while also being respectful?
I think open communication is key. Scientists need to talk to the local community, listen to their concerns, and work together to come up with research methods that are both scientifically sound and culturally sensitive.
It's about finding a way to honor the past and the future at the same time.
Exactly.
Well, as we wrap up our deep dive into the mystery of the La Aurora alien mummy, I want to leave you with one last thing to think about. If this mummy isn't an alien, what does it tell us about the diversity of life on Earth, both past and present?
That's a great question. It really gets at the heart of what makes this discovery so important. Forget about the alien stuff for a second. We're still left with this amazing being that challenges everything we thought we knew about evolution and how much variation is possible.
It reminds us that nature is full of surprises, and that we're constantly learning new things about life on our planet.
And we're still discovering new species all the time. Now imagine what might be hidden in the fossil record.
Right. Who knows what other incredible creatures might have roamed the Earth millions of years ago?
The La Aurora mummy is a perfect example of how much we still have to learn and how many mysteries are still out there.
It's a reminder to keep exploring, keep asking questions, and to never lose that sense of wonder. So thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the La Aurora alien mummy. And until next time, keep those minds curious.